Yeah, what's going on, people? Welcome to 27 Letters Podcast. My name is Lanry Onigbinde, and today we got a special guest in the house, somebody I can kind of relate to because she got a crazy story of what happened almost a year ago to her and the ordeal she had to deal with. Her name is Chelsey Arkarakas, aka Skully.
Yes, sir.
You know, because she's a tattoo artist and she be into the, you know what I mean? All that stuff there. But yeah, Skully, as she would like to be known, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, I was telling her earlier, like, with the work my wife does, and when we got the wind of your story, we were both like flabbergasted as to how it even got to the point where you got charged for second-degree murder. And we're going to get into it with her. And so the way we start the show is basically I like to start with where we all originate from, which is our mother. So who's your mother? Where were you born, and so on and so forth?
I was born in Mississauga. I know the article says Toronto woman, but that just says that because I was living in Toronto before this happened. But I was born and raised in Mississauga. Single mother household.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Without going too much into it, just out of respect for my family.
For sure.
It wasn't easy, I guess you could say, growing up. Like,
growing up with your mother in general?
Growing up, just in general, I guess you could say. Like, I'm no stranger to the eviction notices on the door. I'm no stranger to, you know...
So it's a struggle.
Yeah, like family members in jail or watching people getting arrested. I'm no stranger to that kind of stuff, right? Growing up, it was always confusing because I never understood it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. So, did you know your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I did, yeah. I saw him on weekends growing up. More so like in my teen years, I guess you could say.
So prior to that, you rarely saw him?
Prior to that, yeah, he was gone. He was locked.
Oh, he was incarcerated? Oh, yeah? How long was he locked up for?
For 2 years, I believe, in the States, yeah.
Oh, in the States, too?
So he came out when I think I was 9 or 10.
Okay.
So that's really from where I get my memories from, because before that, I was pretty young, right?
So it's just basically you and your mom?
Me and my mom,
Your mom's struggling as a single mother.
Single mother, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's probably she worked?
She worked. She was a hairdresser, but she worked most of the day, so I was being raised by my grandparents during the daytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn, that's gotta be... And you're the only child, right?
I'm an only child,
So you don't even have like a crime partner, somebody you could, you know what I mean, vent to?
Nobody, yeah.
Now, it was like that for me because I have 2 younger siblings, but it's an 11-year gap between us.
Yeah.
And I'm the oldest. So it's like for a long time, it's just me. You know what I mean? Until later on when my parents reunited and they had my siblings, you know? But I dig it, you know, I understand what you and then you're a girl too, having to grow up by yourself in a world where, you know, it's not always safe for women, especially young girls and whatnot, so on and so forth. And this is part of the reason why you even went through what you went through a year ago, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah, I think so too.
So how was your upbringing in general? Like, what did you experience as a young girl growing up?
To be honest, like, growing up, I can't really say that I had that many happy experiences because I remember the bad ones the most. So it was just very lonely, you know.
So, like, what, birthdays? You weren't getting no birthday parties? Christmas wasn't, like... So family gathering type of thing?
No, there was family gatherings for holidays and everything, but my family here was very small, you know. It was just my mom, my grandparents, and then my uncle.
Okay.
And then at one point, I forgot when he got married, but then it was my uncle's wife, right? But it was very small always.
When you say here, you have people elsewhere in the world? Like, you say your family here? Yeah,
so I'm first-gen Canadian here.
Okay.
So all my family is from another country. So half my family is from Poland, the other half is from... we're Armenian, but they lived in Turkey.
Okay.
Right? So growing up, and the fact that I was raised by my mom, because my dad wasn't there, I only grew around my mom's side, where there isn't a lot of us here.
Yeah. So
you know?
Yeah. So the network wasn't that big up, you know, you have a big family to rely on and whatnot.
No, I didn't. I never had those big fam jams that everybody, you know, talks about and shit.
No, like, it's the same thing with me, because like I said, like when my dad moved up here, and then myself and my mom moved up here, so it's like just us. There was no real extended family. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
Like growing up, I always felt misunderstood. You know, it's like I never understood like why I didn't have a dad, because everybody else had a big family, right? And I never understood that, and my family never knew how to tell me, right? So they'd kind of like they'd beat around the bush, they'd lie about it, right? So.
And you know what? I see that my daughter experienced that to a certain extent. This is why I kind of started writing the letters, and up until maybe 2 years ago, I was under the impression that all those letters that I wrote to her was read to her, but I have my own beliefs now that I don't think they were even read to her. So her wondering and so on, like I remember one time I spoke to her mom, and I guess she must have been seeing the children and the dads at by the ice cream truck, and she's like, yo, how come my dad's not here to buy me ice cream and shit like that? And she told me that broke my heart. You know what I mean? So I could understand with what you're saying, you know, as far as like, yo, how come all these people have their dad and I don't, you know what I mean? What's wrong with me? You probably might think something's wrong with you, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, for real.
So yeah, that could play on your psyche, you know, growing up. So I truly understand that. Right? But yo, you stated that as a little girl you used to like draw on the wall, and to the point that your mom would have to put up newspapers just to prevent you from doing it.
I did, yeah. She told me when I was really young, like before even I can remember, like when I was a little toddler, I used to just draw on the walls all the time, and she could not get me to stop. So she would put paper, like blank paper or newspapers on the wall, and she'd tell me, she's like, okay, this is your spot. Draw here. If you're gonna draw here. So that's what she gave me. So this is another thing with Chelsey, aka Skully, is that she's an artist. You know what I mean? She like if you go on her Instagram page, she beautiful artwork. It's Thank
crazy.
you.
Like it's crazy. Like I'm supposed to get her to do some work just now for myself too. Like you know what I mean? But like it's crazy. So early on, how did that become a thing for you? Like how did you discover that the pencil and?
So from my earliest memories, I've always been drawing. In kindergarten, like people would be drawing like stick figures. I would draw like
actual people.
Yeah, I would draw actual people. You know, like they'd have a sleeve, they'd have an arm, they'd have a hand, everything like that. And then I just kept going with it, and that was just a way for me to express myself. That was the only way I was able to express myself. Because
you had nobody else to talk to.
I felt lonely. I had nobody to talk to.
So this is what I'm saying. Like for me myself, I remember growing up by myself. My imagination was very vivid, you know what I mean? So you actually are able to actually translate it on paper, you know what I mean? So how did, like, was your mom able to foster that talent? Did she recognize it? Did she help you foster that talent?
My family always saw my talent, but so they were very traditional. They wanted me to go to university, wanted to push me to go to school. You're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, one of these things. I always wanted to be an artist, but me growing up with no one else to talk to, like I had my friends and everything, but my biggest influence is my family. Me wanting to be an artist never sat well with them because they didn't see that as a real job.
Well, a lot of artists go through this. That's one thing a lot of artists go through.
So they were always pushing me to go to school, and I did go to school, and they were always like, oh, you could be a tattoo artist on the side. And in my head, I'm like, okay, so I went to school, I went to York University,
What'd you take?
I was taking a major in criminology, and then I took a minor in business because I wanted to do the tattooing thing. So in my head, because I wanted to be a homicide detective. Touche, right?
Ooh, that's crazy.
Crazy, right? I wanted to be a homicide detective. So in my head, I'm like, I'm going to be a homicide detective by day and a tattoo artist by night. That was my whole thing. And then my third year in university, I was like, you know what? Because like I actually got kicked out at that time.
Oh, yeah? Why?
Just a lot of differences between me and my mom.
Okay, so your struggles at home, it wasn't like your grades were bad or anything like
Yeah, there was a lot of struggles at home, a lot of stress and drama growing up. So eventually our differences got me kicked out. So in my third year of university, I was living alone. This is when I moved to Toronto.
Okay.
I moved by Martin Grove and Finch, about down in Rexdale.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, it's real now. What am I going to do? Am I going to keep going to school? How am I going to pay for school? How am I going to pay for the rent? I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop out of school. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped out of school. I got myself a job. I worked at the beer store down on Finch and Albion. And then I got myself my first tattoo apprenticeship downtown. And that's where I started it. This was 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just went for it. I said,
Wow.
This is real now.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
in your teenage years, you still had to struggle with your mom, but you know what I mean. You persevered and did well in school.
Mm-hmm.
You had good grades and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And you decided to go to university again. You still were going through the struggles with your mom. And do you think the struggles you had with your mom had anything to do with her being resentful of not being with your dad, and then maybe she's taking it out on you, type of thing?
In a way,
when you think about it, do you ever think now and looking back, because hindsight's 2020, and saying, you know what, I think this is why?
I think I am a spitting image of my dad. My personality is exactly like my dad, which is funny considering I didn't grow up with my dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think my mom was just trying to protect me and trying to take me on a good path.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that she did it was very confining and very strict, and she didn't allow me to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
It was more so like, I have an idea of what I want my daughter to be, so this is what she's going to be. Instead of getting to know who I am and helping me become
that person.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It was like that. So then I had like a huge rebellion phase in high school.
Uh-huh.
And to this day, like, I guess I could say I'm stubborn, but it's more so true to myself. It's not...
What's your sign?
Pisces. Pisces, the most artistic sign.
Well, Pisces too.
Are you?
March 1st.
March 8th. International Women's Day too.
That's crazy. Because I'm hearing you talk, I'm like, yo, you sound like a Pisces.
Right?
But it's crazy, yo. Yeah, yo. But, yeah, that's what I was thinking, thinking about the struggle you had with your mom and so on and so forth.
Mm.
Because I went through my own thing with my dad. Like, my mom was blessed and whatnot, but after they reunited, like, my dad was physically abusive towards me. So, growing up, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to send you the little documentary.
Yeah, send me that.
And basically I touched on that, on that experience with him. So that's how the whole violent thing became a norm to me, you know what I mean? Because of a learned behavior that I picked up from my dad. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's crazy. But I'm glad. So how's your relationship with your mom now? How's things now?
Well, I don't live with my mom now, so now it's great. Okay. Like we
So
really,
you just need your space.
Yeah, we bump heads a lot, so that's why living together was a really bad situation. Mm-hmm. So now that we're not living together, things are fine. Like we can get along. Yeah.
Okay.
Much better that way.
How was she when she heard what happened?
So I never got to talk to her until maybe a couple weeks from when I was already in jail, right? That's when I finally was able to make my first phone call. Mm-hmm. And I talked to her, right? And the first thing that I said on the phone, I was like, listen, it's not what you think it is. It's not what they're making it sound like on the news. Mm-hmm. She's like, I know. I already talked to the lawyer. I know. And I could hear in her voice she was trying to be strong, but she was obviously very emotional.
You're only child. She did her best to prevent you from going through certain things. And
I know. And this is when I was, like, kicked out. So, like, she kicked me out maybe a year before that. So this is me on my own. And then
so she probably feels some guilt, and she's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, she didn't tell me that herself. I forgot who it was that told me that. Somebody told me that she felt very guilty. Oh, it was my friend. It was my friend Jazz. Yeah, because when this happened, he was in contact with my mom, and he told me that she felt guilty for it. She felt bad. Like she thought she could have done something to prevent this from happening. And
naturally, as a parent, because you want to be protective of your child.
Yeah. It was hard. It was hard for everybody because everybody knows I had a rough upbringing, and I was always I always acted out in ways, but I acted out in ways because I didn't understand. And I did have that rougher upbringing.
Yeah, you want to express yourself, but you didn't know how to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's even just financially, we were never up there like that, right? It was always hard. It was always a struggle with us. And
but you know what? I feel like the finance thing is more of the parents' issue, not the child's issue. Because there's children who grew up without finance and still have a great childhood. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So it's more of them bringing their shit to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Parents bringing their, that's why I really don't talk about money with my children and whatnot, no matter what, whether
and that's
up or
very
down.
good, because like I grew up with a really bad relationship and a bad mentality towards money, because I always thought, I was like, oh my god, money is what's bringing all the problems.
Yeah.
No, money is the problem. Money is always the problem with everybody here in the family. Like, money is bad, money's a bitch, oh my god.
Yeah.
And like I never knew how to make it, because no one taught me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was always just, I don't know, it was harder.
Yeah, you need to have a balanced view when it comes to money, because sometimes there's people who have it and think that they could do whatever in the world, but that's not the case, because at the end of the day, your character is what, you know what I mean, what defines you, not the money.
For sure.
And then there's people who don't have it and swear that that's going to be the answer once they get it. And there are people who never had it and get it, and within years of getting it, they die. There's a lot of people who are better off broke. Because what happens is, with money, it's a truth serum. It'll expose you for who you are.
Yeah, that's one thing I always say is money doesn't change somebody. Money shows you what they truly are.
Yeah.
And there's another one. It says, money doesn't make a man. Man makes the money. Right? So,
for sure.
It doesn't matter about what you have. It's who you are.
So we're gonna get into it, right into the situation. So
yeah,
you had a boyfriend, and how long were you guys together?
Before this happened, we were together for 10 months.
10 months, okay. So you guys are steady dating, you know what I mean? You don't want to get into it, but apparently there's parts of him that he never told you in regards to having children with other women and you didn't know. How old was he? Like, how much older was he from you?
He was 9 years older than me.
9 years older. So you see, probably taking advantage of you being a little naive and whatnot, and young and so on and so forth. So you guys broke up. You broke it off. What was the reason?
I fled.
Why did you break up with him?
I fled. Okay, so we were together for 10 months. For 9 months, he was never, ever abusive or anything towards me. He was actually, like, very sweet, very romantic, believe it or not. And then in the 10th month, this is when we moved in together. And this, actually, on the exact day that we moved in.
I will tell you who people are when you move in with them.
On the exact day that I moved out and in with him is when he started becoming abusive.
Yeah, eh? In what way? Like, what would... Like, how'd that start? Like, you must have been shocked and like, what the hell? Are you hitting me?
Yeah. So the first thing that he ever did was because it was that same day that I was moving out. I remember he was helping me take my boxes and shit. And, like, I saw something on his phone, something that had to do with one of his exes. And I got upset. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? Like, we're about to move in together. And
naturally, you have to question it.
Of
for sure.
course, considering, the fact that I'm just
taking
moving out of my place. Yeah. So I confronted him about that. And we were outside, I remember. We were outside of my place. I was living in a basement in Rexdale. We were outside. We were taking some boxes from my place into the van. And he grabbed me really, really, really hard, like, by my shirt and by my bra. And he pushed,
pushed you?
Pushed me, but, like, rattled me, kind of.
Yeah, he shook you.
He shook me.
Yeah,
he shook me. He actually ripped my shirt and my bra, and I was like, what just happened? I was confused. But
red
I'm like,
flag.
Yeah, big red flag, but what am I going to do? I'm not paying rent here no more. I'm going with this guy. My stuff is in the trunk.
Okay.
Or my stuff is in the van. Where am I going to go? And I was just like, okay, whatever. This is just heat of the moment. Let it go. Let me just finish this, and then we'll get on with it.
So you thought you guys could move past it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the abuse did it continue?
It continued, and it got worse. And it would happen every day to every other day. And
did you tell anybody?
No.
Why not?
It was, when you're going through it, you're kind of in denial. And you still want to see the best in this person that you've been with for so long. And then it's also a sense of fear and a sense of embarrassment.
Fear as far as how it will get worse.
Fear is if you tell somebody that they're going to get mad at you and do it again.
Yeah, like it will get worse.
And then
you're also embarrassed that
because it's like,
you allowed it to happen and going through
this is my partner and I'm with this guy and he's doing this to me.
Yeah.
But I'm still with this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like I told you, the nature of the work my Empress does, she works with abused women, so I hear some of the stories and it's frustrating to me sometimes when I'm like, yo, call somebody, tell somebody, yo, so we can ride out and deal with this. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine my sister, my daughter going through something abusive and they're not calling and saying, yo, this guy, well, I'll be like, yo, what? You know what I mean?
Yo, I know. There was one day...
Because there's got to be some accountability, and this is where the community comes in, even before the cops, is that, you know, let's say you have a brother, you even have a close relationship with your dad, and you say, hey, Dad, this is what happened, and your dad could go address it with this guy or whatever, this situation with your brother, whoever, you know what I mean? Somebody who's there to protect you, you know what I mean? So you probably didn't have that. No siblings, no daddy to say, yo, be my knight in shining armor.
Yeah, exactly. He also he isolated me too. And it takes months and months and months of this. And you don't realize it when it's happening, right? But he isolated me from my friends too. So my life was him and his friends. He turned it into that. It's through manipulation. And like when I think back at it, it's... impressive is not the word, but it's astounding at how people are able to do that.
It's diabolical.
It's crazy. Despicable.
It's diabolical. Like I told you, I hear the stories of what some of these women go through, and it's like, oh, what? That's crazy.
I never thought I'd ever be in a domestic relationship, ever.
Did you ever witness anything growing up, domestic abuse or anything like that?
No, I did not. I never witnessed domestic abuse. And whenever I heard of women in domestic situations, I was always like, why is she still with him? Like, why wouldn't she just leave? Like, I never understood it until I was in it. And once you're in it is when it's too late. Like, once you realize it, it's already too late.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, leading up, so basically the abuse continued, and now we're going to get to... take us through what happened on November 16th, which is almost a year ago. Tomorrow actually makes it a year.
Tomorrow makes it a year.
So November 16th, 2020.
Yeah.
Right? What happened?
So at this point, we were already broken up for a month and a half. I fled from him at the beginning of October. We're broken up.
So how long did you guys live together before you fled?
A month. September. I lived with him September. I left October.
So you're like, enough of this shit.
So that was a month of me being beat every other day. And it was
when
like...
you say beat, like he's actually punching you?
Punching me. He used a gun on me.
What?
Yeah. There was one time he shoved a gun so hard into my face that it actually caused like a burn, like a rub burn right here. He was beating me. Yeah, he broke my fingers. Like, it was fucked. It got really, really bad and I had nowhere to go.
Can you tell him how big this guy is, by the way?
He was 6'5", over 200 pounds.
And you are...
5'3", 95 pounds.
Soaking wet. Like, it's crazy.
I'm tiny. You can see it.
It's crazy.
You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see my wrist. I'm a small girl.
So, November 16th.
All right. November 16th.
You've already left for a month and you already made up your mind. I'm done.
Yeah. So, like I said, I fled, right? It's never like I had this conversation.
So you left your shit behind pretty much.
So his friends actually messaged me that day because, like, he was cheating on me too. Oh, big whoop. I found out his friends told me. So his friends caught on to what was happening because they saw some injuries on me. And they loved me. So I got a text.
Do you think his friends are intimidated of him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
So they never really got the heart to go up, be like, yo, what the fuck? Don't be treating Skully like that.
No, definitely not. So it was one of his friends. She texted me one morning and she's like, oh, Chelsey, he's going down a really bad path. You need to leave him now, otherwise you're going to end up dead, something like that, right?
That's crazy.
So she sent 2 people to come to me where I was at, because he was cheating on me at that time. He wasn't home, right? And she knew this. So that's why they knew that was that window where they can get me out. So she sent 2 people. They came, they picked me up, took my stuff, put it in the car, and they took me somewhere. Out of there. Yeah, got me out of there. And I never saw him again.
So where'd you go stay? Because you didn't have a place.
I stayed at one of their places for a few days, and then I figured my shit out, and then I came back to Mississauga, and I brought all my stuff there. Right? So, but I never saw him in that time. And then I get a call on November 16th. It was like around maybe like 7, 8 p.m.
So how long after did you flee? Did he contact you again?
A month and a half. I left him.
So he never contacted you in that month and a half?
He would text me some bullshit, but then he'd block me, so I can't even like text back. It's just like mental shit, you know what I mean? He'd text me like a picture of some chick and be like, "Oh, this is my new girlfriend," and then block me, and it would just rattle me and shit. You know what I mean? Just stupid shit.
It's crazy.
So then November 16th, he calls me. I remember I was laying down on the couch, and he calls me, and I see the name on my phone. I'm like, oh my god, what is this? Then I answer the phone, and I was like, oh, well, would you look who it is? You know, like, what do you have to say to me? And he was very emotional. He was like, you could hear it in his voice. He was emotional. He was upset. He said how sorry he was. He kept bringing up nostalgic memories. He kept saying shit like, you know, like, I can't go out for a cigarette because every time I go out for a cigarette, I think of you sitting beside me, having one with me. I can never look at the moon because I know how much you love the moon. I can't listen to my favorite songs because I know you like that song too. Shit like that.
Just bringing on your emotions.
And he kept expressing how sorry he was. And he kept saying, I know we're not going to get back together, but I just want to see you just so I can tell you that I'm sorry. And it's not like I talked to him for like a half hour and I'm like, okay, let me come see you. I talked to him for 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours on the phone before I finally made the decision, like, okay, let me go talk to this guy and just get my closure. Because I never went there with the intent of getting back together with him. I just wanted to hear an apology. I just wanted some closure, and that's it. Because like I said, I fled. You know, I went through this month of bullshit, and I went through a big relationship with him too. Or maybe not big, but 10 months with this guy, right?
For a young person, 10 months, it's a long time.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear the, I'm sorry. I just wanted to hear that, and then I'd be good. I'd be able to move on. Because it was really killing me. Like, why? I was so good to this person. I did everything for this person. I was always supportive. And why did this happen? Why? What did I do wrong? I just wanted the apology. So after 3-4 hours, I made the decision to go and meet him. Here, in Scarborough, down the street from here.
So you met him at a house. And what happened?
So I met him at this house. And I go inside. I mean, there were some flags outside that started making me feel a little bit uneasy. So I was always like... So
you weren't listening to your intuition?
No. My
gut...
You
said you should have listened to your intuition. You won't find yourself in this position.
My gut was telling me something. I didn't listen to it.
You gotta listen.
But I was cautious. I went in there very, very cautious. But yeah, you're right. You gotta listen. When your gut tells you something, you listen to it.
Yeah.
I can tell you that firsthand.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen to your gut.
Yeah.
So I go inside, and when I walk in there, I see like 8 empty beer cans on the table. I'm like, oh fuck, he's drunk. And I'm like, this is not good, because
there's no way you could have closure with a drunk person.
Yeah, and like every time that he would beat me, he was drunk too. So I'm like, this is not good.
Flag.
This is not good right now. And he's like,
did you have anything with you to protect yourself?
No. So I'm there. He's sitting on the couch. He's like, yeah, come sit down, have a beer. I'm like, no, like, I didn't come here to chill out. I came here to, I came here to talk. Like, what do you want to say to me? Like, you brought me all the way over here. What do you want to tell me? And he's like, no, just chill out, just relax, whatever. And I'm standing there and I'm looking around this place. And I notice this picture on the wall. And this picture is the exact same picture that I've seen in one of his baby mama's pictures. So I recognize that picture, and I go over, I'm like, I know this picture. I'm like, I recognize this picture, and he's like quiet on the couch. And then I look on the other side, and there's a chair, like this big, fuzzy, gray chair. I'm like, I know this chair. I'm like, is this girl's house? I'm like, is this girl's house? Does she live here? And then he stands up, right?
So basically, he told you to come to his baby mom's house while she wasn't in.
Oh, he told me that it was his friend's house that he was watching over while his friend was out of town.
But it wasn't.
You've
seen signs this is obviously...
his baby mom's house, yeah. And I know for a fact his baby mom did not like me because she just bunch of drama from the past, right?
So it's just bad energy in the house.
Oh, yeah. Once I noticed that, I'm like, this is bad. I need to get the fuck out right now. Sorry, can I swear?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm like, I need to get the fuck out right now. And he stands up, and he's standing. There's an archway, because this was in a basement too, right? So there's stairs. You go down a little hallway, and there's an archway into a living room. That's where we were. And he's standing in the archway. And I'm trying to leave, and he's, like, putting his hands on my shoulders. He's like, no, he's like, she's not here right now. She's not here right now. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if she's here right now. Is this her place? I'm trying to leave.
Disrespectful.
Yeah. And then he's not letting me go, right? He's just...
So how long have you been at the house since all this pushing started?
This is, like, 3 minutes in.
Wow.
This is, like, real quick.
Wow.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, how am I going to get out? Because he's standing right there. So, like, I'm taking a few steps back. There's a kitchen right behind me, too, right? And I see a pair of sunglasses. I know it was his baby mom's sunglasses. And I pick up the sunglasses, and I'm like, bum-ass sunglasses. And I put them down. But once I said that, that's when he punched me straight in the face. Twice. Closed fist, punched me.
Maybe he bought the sunglasses. I was like, yo, we dissing?
He was probably mad that I was dissing one of his baby moms. That's probably the thing in her house. But, yo, he punched me twice right then and there once I said that. And those 2 punches, like, took me right out. Like, my face
impact.
fucking, yeah. And my nose broke right there. Like, I was already bleeding. And once I looked back up at him, like, I knew I was bleeding. I looked back up at him. His face was completely different. Like, before, he was kind of, like, worried. He's like, no, like, she's not here. She's not here. When I looked back up, he was just angry. That was just it.
Demon time.
Yeah, that was straight demon. There was nothing behind those eyes. Right? So... You want me to keep going?
Yeah, for sure.
He took me. He made me go sit down on the couch. So we're sitting down on the couch. And I'm thinking, I'm like, this is fucking bad right now. Like, that already gave me spins, those 2 punches. I'm like, this is bad. I need to get the fuck out right now. And he's sitting right beside me. He's sitting right here. And he starts talking.
Did you think about calling 911? What did you think about doing? Did you, like, yo, I want to jump out the window? Or just...
No, I never calling 911. I just wanted to leave. I just wanted to get the fuck out. I want to go home and dip.
Mm-hmm.
He's sitting right beside me, and he starts talking. And he's talking this delusional nonsense of shit that he thinks that I did to him during the relationship, where he actually did to me.
Reverse psychology
shit. Like, oh, you know...
You're the bad person.
Yeah, oh, he thinks I had a fling with his friends, and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, I was with him every single day. You know what I mean? Like, he kept me, like... fucking hostage, basically. Everywhere he went, I went. I wasn't allowed to make eye contact with his friends because he thought that I was looking at them sexually. You know what I mean?
What the fuck?
It was like that.
Yeah, you had a fucked up one.
It was really fucked up. So he's telling me these things, and as he's telling me these things, he's punching me in the face.
What the fuck?
So, yo, he had a plan, right? This is like his big speech, his little monologue to me, right? As he's beating me at the same time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And then he takes a break, he pauses for a bit, and he's not talking. Once he does that, I try to run. But me, I'm so small, and he's so tall. He's 6'5". His reach...
Yeah, he just takes a couple of strides and grabs you.
All he does is, grab me right back. And then he starts beating me again. And he takes me to the floor, and we're, like, wrestling and shit on the floor. And this was really bad. He starts banging my face on the floor constantly. He was biting me. At this time, too, on my right hand, I had a brace because he had broken 2 of my fingers before that. Like, he had literally taken my thumb, pulled it all the way back, and then he took my pinky and pulled it all the way back. I had fractures in both the fingers. So I had a brace on my hand. And he was telling me, he's like, your hands are mine. Because I'm an artist, right? I use my art. I mean, I use my hands for my work. He's telling me, your hands are mine. He's biting my fingers. I still have that brace I was wearing with bite marks in them. So he's biting all my fingers. He's biting my head. He's biting my ear. Like, he fully Mike Tyson'd me, bro. Like,
it's crazy.
Yo. And then he's banging my head on the floor, and then he's dragging me, too, at the same time, across the room. And I feel it. Like, I felt when my lips split, both the top and the bottom. They split. I saw it.
What time of the day was this happening at?
This was 11-something at night. I got there at 11:20.
Okay.
And the 911 call from the neighbors came in at 11:48.
So this went on for
25 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at what point did you get to that chance to actually cause harm to him and able to flee?
This was after so I tried to leave the first time, then he punched me twice. I tried to leave the second time, then he caught me. I tried to leave the third time, which I haven't gotten to yet. He caught me again. This was after that. Okay.
So after the third time you try to leave, he's been beating you. What did you do?
So after the third time I tried to leave.
And obviously you can't leave without.
So here's the thing. You know how I said he was dragging me to the other side of the room? Mm-hmm. He throws me against the wall and he sits down. He's kicking me too. I'm sitting on the floor, sitting on the couch. He's kicking me, punching me, whatever he's doing. And then he stops. And he looks at me. And he goes, "This is your last night alive." He's like, "You're going to die tonight, Chelsey." He's like, "Just wait for somebody to come home. They're going to enjoy cutting you up and slitting your throat. And I'm going to be the one to bury you."
Who's he talking about?
He's going to murder me. He's telling me his plan.
You know, he's saying, wait for somebody to come?
Yeah, that's just some bullshit. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about.
Is he talking
just
about?
Something to put fear into me.
So to make it sound like it's a big plan, I'm not alone to do this to you.
Yeah, exactly. But I felt myself, I seen how much blood was coming out of my face. I'm like, he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna kill me.
Yeah, and he's not in his right mind. He's drunk, he's angry.
Delusional.
He's a bunch of shit that you don't... Not rational.
Absolutely. So, before that, I thought he was just gonna, kidnap me, hold me hostage and shit, because I seen this blow-up mattress in the hallway. I'm like, that's weird. Why is there a blow-up mattress in the hallway? And then it clicked in once he said that. I'm like, that mattress is where he's gonna dismember me. Like he just said he was going to. And he's gonna steal my car and bury me somewhere. And that's when I'm like, alright, fuck. Wow. I'm like, this is real now. I gotta get the fuck out of here. I'm like, he just said someone's gonna come home.
So it's a fight or flight time for you.
Yeah, this is a fight to the death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Again, you had nothing to protect you. No weapons, nothing like that.
No, luckily it was a really messy fucking apartment. Mm-hmm. So there was shit around. At this time too, I remember he threw me a beer. He's like, "Here's your fucking beer, your last beer." And I remember I cracked it and I sipped at it and I looked at it and I saw how much blood was on it. I'm like, yeah, this is real right now. I'm like, fuck. I was saying this out loud. I'm like, fuck. I'm just thinking, what am I gonna do? So I take the beer and I throw it at him. To try and distract him, I try to run again. He catches me. Same thing, same deal. We're wrestling on the floor. This is a big fight. This is when I got a lot of more injuries too. He ended up getting tired, picks me up. He tells me, he's like, go lie down on the couch. So he's making me lie down on the couch now. On this couch, there's a knife. Nice, big, bright red knife. I don't know how the hell he didn't see it because he was standing right behind me. But when I saw that knife, I took my hand, because I was wearing my winter jacket at that time, and I covered the knife with my sleeve, and I slid up the couch and I lied down. So I'm lying down, and the knife is right here.
This is some movie shit, right?
This is. It
that's
really is.
Crazy. I'm seeing, because you already know being a Pisces is vivid.
You got the vision.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, I'm telling you, I can't even, y'all, it is a movie. You're gonna trip out once I tell you how it ends, too. But I take the knife, I slide up the couch, and I have it underneath. Right? And there's a pillow there, so I have both my hands under the pillow. And then he comes and lies down on top of me. Me, small person.
Do you think he's going to rape you?
No. That never went into my head. Even the women at the hospital were asking me if they wanted me to get tested. I said no. That never went through my head. And he didn't. Mm-hmm.
So he just wanted to kill you straight up?
Yeah, he was tired. He was tired straight up from the fighting. Because I was fighting back. So he's on top of me, he's catching his breath and shit. And I knew, I'm like, okay, fuck, I have to do this now. So I started making a bunch of moaning noises, like I'm in pain, right? And while I'm doing that, I'm flipping the blade out. Because I didn't want him to hear the blade.
So it's a switchblade?
Yeah, I didn't want him to hear the blade coming out. Mm-hmm. Right? So I make the moaning noises, the blade's out. And then I go up on my forearms and I start trying to look back, right? To see how his body's laying on top of mine so that I don't stab myself. Mm-hmm. And while I'm doing that, he gets frustrated because this whole time, he's telling me, don't move, don't run, don't nothing, whatever. He even took my shoes off before that. He thought if he takes my shoes that I'm not going to run away. He took my shoes, threw them across the room and shit. And so he's getting frustrated with me because I'm moving. He's trying to rest. He's trying to catch his breath. I'm moving and shit, whatever. So he starts taking my head. He's like, don't move. So it's banging my head, but there's a pillow there.
Mm-hmm.
So the pillow's not hurting me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a scarf. He finds some scarf on the couch. Like I said, messy fucking place. He finds a scarf on the couch. He takes the scarf. And I feel the scarf going over my eyes, going over my nose, going over my mouth, and onto my neck.
He's going to try and choke you.
And he starts choking me. And as he's choking me, that's when I'm like, all right. He's occupied. Both his hands are busy. He's focused on choking me right now. This is it. I got to stab him. So I swing back and I stab him.
Where did you hit him?
I thought I hit him either in the thigh or in the ass. So I ended up hitting him in the thigh. I found out.
Where there's a major artery.
Where there's the biggest artery in your body.
Mm-hmm. So he screams whatever.
He doesn't scream. You know what he says? He's like, you stabbed me. Why'd you stab me?
I don't know.
I don't know.
All this beating you doing to me.
I have no idea. Yeah, it's weird. And this is what I'm saying. Like, he was delusional. Like, just not there. And yeah, so then I bring the knife back and we're fighting for the knife now. And I'm like, if he gets this knife, I'm dead.
Oh, definitely.
I'm definitely dead. And he's strong. He's drunk. I assume he was also on some kind of drugs just because he was relapsing near the end of our relationship. And this just does not make any sense, what he's doing right now. Right?
So he uses, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he was using at the end of the relationship.
What kind of drugs?
He started using meth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get the toxicology report to say what he had in his system?
No, I never got the toxicology report back yet. I never checked up with that. When the charges were dropped, it didn't even come in, but there was just enough for the charges to be dropped without it.
Yeah.
I was completely sober, first of all.
Sure.
I didn't even smoke a cigarette, I don't think, right? So
he's like, yo, why'd you stab me?
Yeah, he's like, yo, why'd you stab me? And he starts trying to get the knife from me, and I'm like, like, I have to, like, I cannot let him get this knife, and he's getting it from me, right? So then I bring my left hand out, I'm holding it in my right, I bring my left hand out, and, like, in the struggle and, like, the tenseness and everything, the knife, it goes into my palm, it goes deep into here, you can still see it.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, this thing was split open like a butterfly, and then I go and I start gripping the blade. I'm like, I made the conscious decision, I'm like, okay, I have to sacrifice my left hand right now. Mm-hmm. It's either my left hand or my life.
You got a hand on the handle, and then you're holding the other hand with the blade. Trying to hold on to it.
Yeah, he's got his hand on the handle here, trying to get it out of my right hand. He's getting it. And I was like, okay.
So you use both hands trying to hold on to it.
Yeah, I use my left hand on the blade, my right hand on the handle. And as I'm doing that, I could feel his body start going limp, like dead weight.
Because he's bleeding out, and he doesn't know that. So he just eventually just passes out?
He starts going dead weight, and I could feel him go dead weight on top of me. So I push him off, and I start to run out, or I start to stumble out, I should say. And then he yells out as I'm leaving, Chelsey, I love you.
You're a true madman. A true madman.
It almost
like
feels
after the
silly.
man's been beating you for months, and then this one night he's damn near killed you, and then when you get the one up on him, he's like, I love you.
It almost feels silly for me to say it.
That's a madman.
Yeah, it just, but it happened. That's
you
true.
survived being with a mad man, like a lunatic.
Yo, this is out of a movie. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you need to write that book for real.
Yeah, man. Like, it doesn't even feel real. Like, when I tell this story, it just doesn't sound real, but it's real. It's true. It happened. That's how it happened. That's what happened. I know. It's crazy.
So you got out the house. Where'd you go?
I got out the house. I started going upstairs. I go up the stairs, and I'm like, in my head, I just want to take myself to the hospital. I wasn't thinking about calling nobody. I'm like, I'm going to drive myself to the hospital right now. And then I'm stumbling out, and I'm like, fuck. My keys are downstairs. Because, I forgot to say, when he was bringing me to the couch, he, like, basically took everything out of my pockets. He's like, what do you have? He was trying to rob me. I didn't have shit in my pockets. I had my keys, my ID, my phone, whatever. He took it all out, threw it on the couch. I'm like, shit, my keys are downstairs. I'm like, fuck, my phone's downstairs. I can't call the ambulance. And here I am. I'm bleeding like crazy from my face, from my hands. I don't know what the fuck's going on with my left hand over here. I know my fingers are broken in my right.
Did the neighbors call the cops at this point?
I go and I hide behind my grandfather's car, the car that I drove, and I'm like, okay, is he coming? Is he coming? He's not coming? All right, let me go to this house. I was looking at what house has the lights on, because in my head, somebody else is supposed to come home and help him, right? That's what was going on in my head. And I'm like, I cannot take another fight right now. I'm beaten to shit right now.
So you had no plans of going back in the house to retrieve your shit. You're like, I just gotta go.
Yeah, I'm not going down there for somebody to come home and finish the job. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm like, okay, this house has their lights on. Let me go check. And I knock on the door, and nobody answers. It's like 11:40 something, 11:45 at night. Nobody answers. I'm like, fuck.
That's crazy.
I'm like, fuck. And I'm looking, I see, like, even when I knocked, I could see... It's
cold outside, too.
I'm barefoot, because he took my shoes off. I could see the blood on the door from when I knocked. I could see the blood coming down, like, on the floor. I'm like, fuck, I need a fucking ambulance. So I go across the street again, and they finally answered. And then they bring me in, and I lay down on their floor, and she brings me a pillow. She's like, what the fuck happened? And I'm like, my ex-boyfriend, he tried to kill me. I'm like, please call me an ambulance, call me an ambulance, call me an ambulance. All I needed was the ambulance. I didn't care about nothing else. I just needed an ambulance. So she ended up calling the ambulance, and from there is when the police ended up coming, and I got charged while I was laying on that floor bleeding.
So, basically, the cops showed up, go over to the crime scene, the basement, and find him dead.
The cops show up. This is where I guess I fucked up, but I didn't. Because me being the compassionate person, the kind person that I am, I said, there's a guy in this basement, he's been stabbed, he needs an ambulance. I tried to get him an ambulance. And the ambulance actually went to him first. Right? So, from there, is like, obviously, I'm the one that stabbed him. If I told him, yeah, he's stabbed, he needs an ambulance. So they're going based off the fact that they think you stabbed him, or they know that you stabbed him. Yeah, they know I stabbed him, and he's dead.
That's crazy, because that should show, like, for them to even charge you should show that you already even had remorse early on to look out, be like, yo, go look after him.
He needs an ambulance, yeah. I'm here laying on the floor.
You had no intention, there's no intent to hurt or kill him. You're just defending yourself.
I wanted to get out. I wanted to get out of the basement.
Wow. So, you were charged on that very same night of second-degree murder.
Yep.
Taken into custody.
I was in custody from that house. I was in custody in the ambulance. I was in custody in Sunnybrook's Trauma Center. I was in custody from
What was going through your mind when they charged you?
Fuck. It's the only thing that was going through my mind. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I need a lawyer. I need a lawyer for this one.
So they brought you to the police station, or did you go to the hospital first?
I went to the hospital first, of course. I was in the hospital for like 16 hours.
What were your injuries?
Okay. I had a lot of head trauma. At one point, he had even taken my head, put it on the floor, and he put his knee on my temple and was squeezing. Like he was trying to bust my skull. I had that. I had a concussion, like a crazy concussion. I had a bite mark on my head. I had 2... hemorrhages in both my eyes. So, like, both my eyes were red. Completely red. There was no white. Both my eyes were swollen to shit. Broken nose. I had cut on my lip. Cut on my bottom lip. My ears. So, I have a lot of piercings, right? I had 2 nose piercings. I had 20 piercings in total from the chin up. I got to the hospital with 6. He had beaten a bunch of my piercings out. He had ripped about a bunch of chunks of my hair. I had a red ring around my neck from when I was... From the scarf, from when I was being choked, yeah. I had a bunch of bites on my fingers. You can see. Actually, can you see? I could see them.
Yeah. I see it.
Under here, from control, I had obviously this one. My finger split open. I had a cut going all across my fingers, cut on my palm. Bites everywhere, bites on this hand.
So it was obvious you were in a struggle for your life.
I had no face. Like, my face was swollen like a blueberry.
So...
Swollen. I didn't recognize myself when I looked at myself in the
mirror.
All
these were documented, and they still charged you with second degree.
Mm-hmm.
What division was this?
50-something.
Yo, these guys need to get...
55?
Yo, the homicide detective...
Scarborough, it was like,
The homicide detective need to get reprimanded for this shit, yo. Like,
yo.
what are you guys on, yo? Because,
Yo,
like,
for real.
Like, when I... Like, again, I tell you, my empress works with abused women. And often, one of the stories that I hear is that the women don't feel comfortable going to the cops. Especially when they're men, too. You know what I mean? Like, they don't feel comfortable. Like, oh, yeah, show story up.
Yeah.
And there you are, clearly beaten
the shit on the floor.
And they still charge you with second degree.
And they still charge me. Meanwhile, he's there with no injuries except for the fucking one stab to his knee. And then to his leg. And then he's got what? Bruised hands, bruised knuckles from punching me. He literally had my hair in his hands. Like, when they did the autopsy, like, when the coroner came, he had my hair in his hands.
So, now, you're in jail.
Yeah.
You had to spend at least 3 weeks before you got bail, which was crazy to me.
Yeah, it's because of COVID. There was a mandatory minimum of 2.
Yeah.
And then second-degree murder, you have to apply for it. You don't get bail. You have to apply for it. They have to review it. You have to have your bail hearing.
So, when you retained a lawyer, what did your lawyer say to you?
My lawyer... So, when I first talked to him, I was at the station in Scarborough.
And you have no priors, by the way. You have no priors. There's
No.
nothing in your past that would indicate that they would just kind of charge you. There's nothing with your lifestyle or anything like that.
No, I don't have
Did he have priors?
Yeah, he did. He had prior domestics. Lo and behold, big whoop.
Wow.
Right? First time I talked to my lawyer, he just told me, he's like, do not say anything. He's like, you're going to get out of this. He's like, I know it was self-defense, but don't say anything. Basically telling me, like, cops are there for a conviction. They're not your friends.
For sure.
They just want to convict you, clearly.
For sure.
Right? So I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing to nobody. I didn't say nothing to homicide. I didn't say anything to anybody transporting me. I didn't say anything to any of the psychologists or the guards or anybody. So where were you in that 3 weeks?
You were at Vanier, right?
I was at Vanier, yeah.
Did the girls in there, how were they with you? How was that experience?
That one... That's kind of funny, because, like, everybody could see that I was clearly in a very violent situation.
And then they hear about your charge, and you're like, what the fuck?
I never told anybody my charge, just because you don't tell people what you're in there for, right? Just because, like, you don't want anyone to fuck around with your case and shit, and, like, lie and say, like, oh, she told me this, and, you know, for them to get, like, less time and shit. But it was on the news, so there was actually one day where a guard came up to my cell, he's like, oh, I wanted to talk to you. He's like, you're kind of famous in here. Like, I saw what you did, and, like, you know, good for you for standing up for yourself. And I was like, what?
I know, it's crazy sometimes when you can hear that from a guard. Right?
From a guard, I know. Like, that was crazy. Well, you see the
obvious. How come they don't see it?
No, yeah, the guards could see it, and the women, too. The women, they knew, right? So, like, they'd ask me, like, oh, what happened? I would just say, like, yeah, my ex-boyfriend.
You have your guard up, obviously.
And they're like... one of the girls, I remember, she was like, oh, did you get him back? And she's like, oh, well, obviously, since you're in here. And I'm like, yeah, I got him back. But the women were nice. Like, they knew, for me, just saying, like, it was a situation with my ex-boyfriend, they were very supportive.
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope.
They were very kind.
Yeah.
And they were proud of me.
Did you make any friends that you kept in contact with?
There's actually my cellmate. I have been meaning to send her a picture because she wanted a picture for her daughter of a rose with an eye in it. I remember her name, but I don't know if she's still there.
Was she looking at a long time?
She was looking at Fed time.
Yeah?
But it was for a drug charge, so I don't really know if that would even go through.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Yeah, if you don't have the name or where the location or where the ad's going.
I have her name. I just don't have her location. I could still try it.
You could just waste. You could call and find out, because once you're in that system, people could look to find out where you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But how was life for you once you got out on bail? Like, how was it for you? Because it took a while before you were vindicated. So how was life for you? You had stipulations on your bail?
What do you mean?
Like, conditions.
Yeah.
For your bail.
Yeah, I did. Not strict, though, because, like, they saw I didn't have any prior charges, so they weren't, like... There was no, like, drug test or, like, no, like, alcohol ban or
curfew or anything like that?
I had curfew, yeah, I did.
Yeah?
Curfew, just no weapons, just the basic shit, really, don't commit another crime, that kind of shit.
So who'd you stay with?
My mom was my surety. I was on surety bail.
Okay.
I almost had the ankle bracelet, but it was expensive, and the bail was already enough of a burden.
So when you get ankle bracelet, you got to pay for yourself?
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So how was life for you in those months leading up to you before you got vindicated? Like, how were people treating you, and how did you feel?
People were my friends were treating me. My friends know me. You know, they know this is not me. They know, like, it never crossed their mind that, oh yeah, Chelsey planned to murder this guy and she's a murderer. That never crossed their mind. Like, they were there. Because, like, in that month and a half where we were broken up, I was with my friends and I told them what happened to me. Mm-hmm. They saw my brace. They saw my broken hands. Right? So it was really hard for me to get over that pain and that betrayal of being cheated on and beaten up in that month and a half. And then once this happened and I had the bail, they knew what I was going through before this. And they were just there for me. Whatever I needed, they knew I had a curfew. If I needed cigarettes, if I wanted to have a drink, if I needed something to eat, a chocolate bar, like, they'd come and they'd give it to me.
So, how many times did you have to go to court before they actually dropped the charges?
So, my lawyer was making the appearances for me. It never got to...
Yeah, it was during COVID, right? So, it's online now, I guess.
It's that, and then it never went to trial.
No.
It was dropped before trial. So
before prelim, too. Did you have prelim?
I think it was dropped at prelim.
At prelim, okay.
I think that's what it was,
so preliminary hearing, that happens before you go to trial, basically.
Yeah.
That happens to see if there's enough evidence to
That's
go to
when
trial.
I went with them. And it was virtual, yes.
Yeah. So, so everything was fine for you on bail. You had support from your people. How was your relationship with your mom at that point? Because you had to live with her.
Yeah.
So how was that?
That was hard, man, because I didn't have a room at her place. So I just slept on this little foam mattress on the floor that I would take down or put down every night and then pick up every morning. And I only had like 5 pairs of clothes. So it was like I was sleeping on the floor basically for like 5 or 6 months. And I didn't really mind it because the bed was much better than the bed in Vanier. So I wasn't complaining. For sure. Right? But it was still more so me trying to get, like, process what happened.
But what I'm saying is, like, was your mom, like, how was she with you? Like, was she...
how was she with me?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because, again, she must have felt some type of guilt, right?
Yeah.
So...
She was supportive.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you guys talk more? Were you able to...
I was quiet. But she was more supportive. Like, if I'd get emotional, she'd let me be emotional. Mm-hmm. She wouldn't say shit to me. She would just let me express myself in whatever way it came out. Mm-hmm. Because she couldn't understand. And no one in my family could understand what it was that I was processing and going through. So they just allowed me to express it in whatever way.
It's trauma. You went through some major trauma.
And I'm really grateful that they allowed that. And they were supportive for me in that way. Because, like I said, I don't know how to express myself in a way other than art. And I wasn't drawing at the time because my hands were kind of fucked. So whatever way it came out, they allowed it. And it helped.
So... most of the time when people get disclosure, is basically the disclosure is evidence that they have against you. Mm-hmm. And the more disclosure that was coming out in your case, it was actually the opposite.
Yeah, it was helping.
It was helping you.
Yeah.
So at this point, this homicide detective got to have known, like, well, I think we're just going to have to drop this drop this charge soon.
Yeah.
So on May 28, 2021, which was just a few months ago, you were vindicated, and in fact, your lawyer Nadir Sachak, stated that this is the strongest case of self-defense he's ever seen in his 30 years of law practice. Mm-hmm. Why did it take the detective 7 months to figure this out?
I don't know. I really don't know. I asked myself that same question.
Like, I don't get it. Like, it was clear cut to me. Like, just based on my experience, I was like, yo,
maybe it was because he was indigenous.
No priors.
Yeah, I have no priors.
Okay, so maybe his native status type of thing.
He was indigenous, and then there was a lot of people out there that were giving statements to the police that were full of bullshit, like complete lies.
Your shit just became political.
Yeah, I think so.
Bureaucracy.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. No, once you say that.
Because, like, think about it, too. Because I understand the law.
Yeah, because you were actually going to become a homicide detective, ironically.
Ironically, right? But it's like, think about it. if you just think about it in a headline point of view, he was Native, I'm white. How would it sound? It's like, oh, Native man dies, white girl, whatever, and she doesn't get charged. How would that even sound?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So basically, they were just curating the narrative and the headlines so it doesn't get out of hand. You know what I mean?
But then in reality, race doesn't matter in this situation.
You gotta stick to the facts. The facts is the facts, and what's right's right. And they shouldn't have arrested you. Are you crazy? Yo, dog, I'm telling you right now. Some males in your family, if there was enough male, whether it be a brother, father, around for this shit, nah, man, they ain't getting that far with that bullshit. I'm telling you, because we're standing for that.
And listen to this, because like my dad, obviously my mom and my dad had contact when this happened. And me and my dad are really good now.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he up here? Or
he's in Aurora.
States? Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah, we're really good now.
So was he out? Like, was he up here when this happened?
Yeah.
So how was he with you? Like, how was that?
You know how he found out? Oh, no, wait. My mom called him. My mom told him. But some other family members found out just from seeing it on the news. They just saw it on TV24. And they're like, one of my aunts, she's like, fuck, was that a typo? She's like, not with that fucking stupid last name. She's like, that's not a typo. But my dad, he was what a dad should be.
Yeah.
When this happened.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, when you say what a dad should be, explain that. What?
He was just what I needed my whole life. He was just that.
So he became that protector that you needed.
Yeah.
So it made it easier for you facing what you were facing.
Yeah, it did. He was there. He was supportive. He did everything that he could to help out, and it was still hard, but he did everything.
Did he feel guilty? Do you think he felt guilty? He expressed that to you? Yeah. Wow.
Everybody felt guilty.
I could imagine. Like I told you, I have a 20-year-old daughter. Like I would, like, you know what I mean? Like if I'm not around her or so on and so forth, and something happened, God forbid, like, yo,
yeah.
So she's like, my little children right now, have 2 boys, and I mean, I have a 8-year-old son and a 7-year-old son. Well, he's gonna be 7 soon, in about a month, and I have this baby girl. And for example, I'm taking off my daughter's clothes today, ready to go take her bath.
Yeah.
There's a big scratch on her stomach. I'm like, yo, what? Yo! I bring her downstairs. I'm like, yo, take a picture, yo. Because she just came from daycare. I'm like, yo, call the daycare. What's going on? On it. Like, what are you talking about? Yo?
Yeah.
Like, me and my daughter has a
Yo, who did that? Yeah.
What's going on? I'm pretty sure it was just an accident, but this is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So, yeah, yo, like, I'm not playing. You know?
You want to hear something? When I was in jail, my dad ended up calling up the police station. He was like, hi, like, I'm Chelsey Arkarakas' father. And the cop says to him, he's like, sir, like, I understand what you're going through, but your daughter murdered that man. And my dad goes, officer, with all due respect, fuck you.
Straight.
That has to be proved in court. And he hangs up.
This is what I'm talking about.
What the fuck? Yeah.
This is what I'm saying about having these certain men around that love and protect you.
Yeah.
As women, that when shit happens, they let whoever is against you know, like, yo, it ain't going down like that.
Yeah, I rate my dad for that.
And it ain't going down like that.
And what that cop said, oh, but your daughter murdered that man. Shut the fuck up.
And
man.
you know
like,
what?
Yo.
Hearing dad did that, it warms your heart.
Yeah.
It's got to warm your heart.
It did.
Because you're like, yes, my knight in shining armor is there. You guys can fuck around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
it's
real.
Crazy. I love that.
I know.
I love that. But on May 28, 2021, after your vindication, at this point in your life, did you? No, actually, forget that. I already asked you that. So this horrible experience has given you a new perspective on life, and what are the knowledge and wisdom you have gained through this ordeal? There's
a lot. So there's the knowledge and wisdom that I've gained for life in general, and then there's the knowledge and wisdom that I've gained from relationships, and like red flags, and just something that I could pass on to other women. Right? So in general, what I've learned from life is...
Because now you went through something that you probably only see in a movie.
Yeah.
So now you have a different perspective of anybody that's going through it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Like, what I went through, there's this one movie, it's with Jennifer Lopez. I don't know. That's the movie, that's what it's called?
Enough.
There's that. So it's basically that times 3, because this one was just more. Anyways, what I could tell you that I've learned from that experience. So this is coming from somebody that was nearly killed.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoy every second, because you never know. And it's so easy to die. That's the craziest part. You could die so easily. You could die just like that.
And I think that's one thing. Even from my case, like I told you, like I gave you a little synopsis of what happened. I didn't know the guy died till the next morning, so I was kind of taken back. Like, God damn, the man died.
Yeah.
Like, I only stabbed him once. I didn't, like, you know what I mean? But when you put it in perspective, we are fragile. Humans are fragile. It ain't going to take much to kill us,
no,
like, for us to die.
Easy.
It's nothing.
It's very easy.
Some people fall down the stairs and die. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So like, we're very fragile.
Yeah. You never know when you can go. Just enjoy every second. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the past. Just enjoy the present.
For sure. Looking back, before you found yourself in that ordeal, is there something you wished you knew ahead of time that might have helped you in, 1, not becoming a victim of the domestic violence, and 2, navigating through the judicial system, or the shitstem, as I call it?
I love that. Yeah.
So, like, what did you wish you knew ahead of time so you wouldn't become a victim of domestic violence? It's just following your gut feeling and paying attention to the red flags, pretty much?
I mean, yeah, I could use that as my answer, but at the end of the day, I'm not a person that has any regret.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, because everything that happened shaped me into becoming who I am today, and I love who I am today. Mm-hmm. So I can't say that I would change anything.
No, but not so much change anything, but kind of, for others, like, you don't want to, if you see this, or you want to go to, if you're going down this path.
Oh.
Yeah, like
yeah, absolutely. Red flags. There's a lot of red flags, and it doesn't even start with physical violence. It starts with mental manipulation. Mm-hmm. It starts with gaslighting. Mm-hmm. Jealousy. Jealousy is the main one. If somebody's overly jealous,
when he said, "Yo, don't make eye contact with my friends," I'm like, this guy's a madman.
Yeah, it got to that point.
Yeah, that's a madman. Mm-hmm. Yo, I'll laugh after a man told me that your man can't look at his girl's eyes. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why are you? What are you there for?
I know. Like, having a conversation, looking him in the eyes, I couldn't do that.
Yo,
Big
that's
flag.
Crazy. Yeah, that's mad. Okay, what about going through the judicial system? Like,
don't talk to the police.
Yeah, eh?
That's what I gotta say. Do not say a fucking word. If I said a word, they would have used it against me. Okay,
what about for women who are in a domestic situation, but like having to talk to the cops? Like, is there, like, what could you say to encourage them to be able to say, yo, this is what I'm going through? So
if you're gonna go to the police, you cannot go back to the person, ever. Mm-hmm. Once you go to the police, it's done. Because if you go to the police and you go back to the person and they find out you went to the police, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah, because they're not gonna take it serious.
No, your partner is gonna.
Yeah, that too. But I'm just saying, as far as
and the police is not gonna take you serious if you keep going back to the person.
Yeah, because it's just
as sad as it is. Yeah. As sad as it is, they're not gonna take you serious.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, I know, based on what you went through, like, how do you channel any harbored feelings you have from this whole experience? Like, do you get angry thinking about what happened?
Anger. I have a lot of anger in me. That's the one thing that I held on to. It's anger just from what happened. It's not even just from the physical ordeal. It's more of the betrayal behind it. Like, why did this happen to me? And then why did I have to
And you can't even get an answer from the guy because he's not here, right?
I know. And then it's, why did I have to go through this whole shitstorm? You know? Mm-hmm. Why did that have to happen? That's where the anger comes from. And then what else sticks with me the most is just the whole thing of betrayal. Is because I trusted this person on the phone. This person swore on his kids that he would not hurt me. This person talked to me for 3-4 hours.
He lured you in.
He put in work.
He lured you in.
So it's the trust.
So how do you channel those anger? Like, is that where your artwork comes in? Is that where you escape your art? Like, for me, I spend a lot of time with my children, like family, and also exercise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
exercise is great for the mental health.
Yeah, yo. I started that in the bin because during the time I was doing, I had to find a way to, you know what I mean, channel any type of thing I was going through, and exercise is a life hack as far as the dopamine and, you know what I mean, just getting those natural endorphins. So
yeah.
I got into that, and then I continued with it when I came out because I still had to deal with so much shit coming out. So, like, for example, today I jogged in the morning, and then in the afternoon I do my calisthenics. So, you know what I mean? These are the things I do daily. You know what I mean? Every other day to just maintain.
That's good. I've been trying. I've been starting it actually for the past 3 weeks. I've been doing
that's why
my little squats here and there.
I hear you going off on Instagram about somebody stalking you. I'm like, you need to relax. Go do some push-ups.
I know. You did tell me that.
Like, go relax.
That didn't even help. I was just so amped at that time.
Nah, you need to do 100 push-ups or something, yo. Something to calm you down, yo. You know what I mean? Because I go through it thinking about what I went through and so on and so forth, and so, like, this is where my escape is, you know what I mean? And again, even with me cooking, that's part of my escape too, being a chef, you know, and so on and so forth.
That's dope.
So, how is your life now? Do you plan on becoming an advocate in some capacity?
In a way, yes. I don't know how much commitment I want to put into it, like if I want to, like, join a club, but I feel like I have a lot of important and significant things to be able to tell women from my first-hand experience that I want to relay. I just don't know how I should go about it yet. It's something that's been on my mind since it started, right? But like, it's only been a year since, and like, I'm finally now ready to talk.
Yeah, take your time. Yeah,
but yeah.
I contacted you maybe
months
in May when I got wind of your vindication.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, we need to sit down and talk. Yo, right there, and you're like, you know, no, just not yet. And then maybe like a month ago, you're like, yo, you know, I'm ready. You know, I'm ready to talk about it. And I was very happy to hear that, you know. But yeah, it's an honor to sit down and talk to you. I'm glad, you know, you're here with us to talk about it, because not too many women live to tell.
Yeah.
Or even if they do live to tell, they don't feel comfortable talking about it because they're embarrassed of going through what they're going through in a domestic violence situation. You know what I mean? So, like, you literally and figuratively fought through a lot to get here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
So I appreciate your spirit and your presence with us to come visit us at 27th Letters Podcast. So now you're just doing you're trying to become a tattoo artist.
Yes, sir.
You could check out on Instagram. What is it?
Skully, SKXLLY.
Yeah, SKXLLY. You can see all the artwork on it. Like, it's beautiful. Like,
thank you.
So I'm going to commission her to do some work for me. You know, so, you know, feel no ways, contact her if you're in the city or wherever, because it ain't nothing for you to send the work to wherever people are.
It ain't nothing, yeah.
So, yeah, you need to get in contact, and eventually, hopefully, you open up your tattoo shop soon. You know what I mean? You could do your thing. So this is the part of the show where, let me just grab this. So, this is the book, 27th Letters. You know, this is your copy.
Thank you.
Know. So, and then here's the book where, you know, I get my guests to write in. You know, I forgot to get Brass Tacks to do this part. Last time we did an interview with some folks that I interviewed. I forgot to bring the book. Because of COVID, I've been doing the interview via Zoom. So people haven't been able to sign the book.
Oh, true.
So my first interview live sitting with somebody was a couple of guys that I know. I forgot the book. I totally forgot about that part. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
It wasn't until later on when I'm like, oh, shoot. Ah, man. So I had to make sure
get them to email it.
No, I know them, so I'm going to have to just run up on them and just, here's the book. Yo, yeah, right. Yeah, just write what you got to write. So, yeah, yo, man, them eyes, cat. I got to holler at y'all to write in this book. But basically, I got all my guests to write in this book, to write basically a paragraph of what they would want their loved ones to know or leave them with, knowing that you're not going to see them, because that's what I had to go through with the letters. Is just writing what I want my daughter to know, and you know, and so on and so forth. So, you know, just write up, you know, open up whatever page, whatever you write, whatever, and just write a paragraph of what you think is important that your loved ones, your children. I know you don't have children yet. You know what I mean?
I want children.
Oh, for sure. Inshallah, it'll happen. You know.
No.
Moving forward, getting into relationships. Have you been in relationships since?
Yeah.
So how is that now? I've been in a relationship and...
I am so lucky that I'm with somebody right now that's very patient.
Okay.
So I've known this person from before this happened.
Okay.
But it's still... Me, I can tell you from my side. I can tell you that this has stuck with me. On the trust.
That's what I was thinking. Like, how do you... Even when you get into an argument with your man, like, how do you... You know what I mean? It's
me.
Triggering.
It's me. I swear to God, it's me. It's me. I'm the one that's...
You have the issues.
I'm the one with the issues right now, yes. And the thing is though, I could see it in myself. I could step back from a third person perspective and I could see it in myself. And I could be like, oh my God, I'm wrong. I'm holding something. I'm holding this trauma and I'm letting it affect my present. So, I've been working past it.
Do you think about getting some counseling?
Yeah. Oh, I was in therapy before and I'm gonna start taking it again.
Okay. Why'd you stop?
I was doing really well.
You're like, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't need this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then you're like in a relationship, you're like, okay, I'm back.
Okay, when you talk about it like that, I mean, I guess it kind of sounds like it's the relationship that brought me back into therapy, but it's not.
No, when you think about it, it would make sense. It
does make sense, yes.
It makes sense, yeah, so, yeah.
Shit.
You
better not watch this.
Well, you gonna see it.
God damn it.
But it's all to help you get to a better place, you know what I mean? Because like you said, you want to have a family and so on and so forth, and you don't want... I mean, it's a great story to tell your children when the time comes, but you want to be... Like, you're never healed, but you want to be at peace.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You want to be at peace by the time you have children, because you don't want any type of blowbacks, you know what I mean, from that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Raising children. But again, thank you so much, Chelsey, you know what I mean, a.k.a. Skully.
Thank you. What's
your Instagram? How can they get a hold of you, and so on and so forth, your social media?
Instagram is Skully, SKXLLY.
Okay, alright. So you just on Instagram, that's it? No Facebook, no nothing like that?
No, just Instagram. I have like my personal stuff on Facebook, but I don't use it much.
Okay. No Twitter?
No.
No? Okay.
No TikTok?
Hell no TikTok. I should get on that, but I haven't yet.
Yeah, no, with the TikTok, It took me a while to get with the whole social media thing, It's like, it took me a while, But now, I'm on it. You know what I mean? But again, thank you so much for showing up to 27 Letters Podcast. Appreciate your presence here, and your story is wow, you know what I mean? And you need to write a book for real, you know what I mean?
People have been telling me that, yeah.
Oh, for sure you need to write a book. Oh, please, you need to write a book, because, like, come on. Hollywood wants this, that's the story.
They might want this one.
Yo, what do you mean, This is crazy. But again, thank you so much. And,
thank you.
You know what I mean? Have a blessed night, and, get home safe, alright?
Thank you. I appreciate you, and I really appreciate this.
Yes, for sure. You already know. 27 Letters Podcast, and we out. Peace.